Ladies, let me tell you something real today. When we talk about great sex for a man, we got to understand it's not just about the act. No, sir, it's not just physical. You think a man is satisfied just because y'all had a little bedroom Olympics? That ain't it. That's just scratching the surface. See, what makes sex great for a man is what happens before, during, and after. It's about the whole experience. And I'm talking to grown folks right now, so let's keep it all the way real. When it comes to what makes sex great for a man, most people get it all wrong. They think it's about how long it lasts, what tricks you use, or how wild it gets. But if you ask a grown man with some experience, one who knows himself and what truly moves him, you'll hear something deeper. Great sex is not about performance, it's about connection. It's about how a man feels during and after. That's the truth nobody wants to say out loud, but I'm going to say it. See, a man wants to feel desired, not tolerated, not like he just happened to be there. He wants to feel like you wanted him, you chose him, and he's the only man who could get that kind of access to you. When a woman makes a man feel like he's one of one, that's when his whole spirit reacts. That's when he holds on to that moment. That's what he remembers when he's out in the world trying to stay focused. He's remembering how she looked at him, how she touched him, how she gave herself to him like she meant every bit of it. It's not just about taking clothes off. Anybody can get naked. But when a woman brings her soul into it, when she brings that energy, that intimacy, that playfulness, it changes the whole experience. A man notices when she's not just going through the motions, but when she's present, when she's into it, when she enjoys being with him, when she's not self-conscious, not holding back, not waiting for it to be over. That kind of presence makes him feel like he's the man. And you know what? Confidence is everything. It's not about looking like a magazine model or being some fantasy figure. It's about a woman who walks into that space knowing her worth, knowing she's desirable, and knowing she brings value. A woman who's in tune with herself and isn't afraid to express her pleasure, her needs, her voice. That's unforgettable. That's powerful. A man is drawn to that kind of raw femininity because it tells him, I'm not just giving you my body, I'm giving you an experience. And that turns it from good sex into something he'll compare everything else to. Then there's trust. That's the game changer. If a man can't trust you, if he feels like he's being judged or like he's being critiqued or tested, he won't open up. But if he can relax, if he feels emotionally safe, like you see him and accept him, he'll bring a different version of himself. And that's when you get to a place where it's not just about pleasure, it's about release. He's not just showing up to get off, he's showing up to connect, to feel something, to lose himself in the moment. That's when he walks away fulfilled. And let me tell you this, foreplay isn't just physical. For a man, it starts long before y'all even touch. It's in the way you treat him, the respect you show, the way you flirt during the day, the way you let him know you're thinking about him. When a man feels like you see him as strong, valuable, and masculine, he carries that energy with him. He walks in the door already mentally undressing you because he's been feeling you all day. So by the time it's go time, there's already a fire between y'all that makes the physical part 10 times more intense. But it don't stop there. The moments after, they matter too. How you talk to him, how you touch him, how you let him know you're still connected. That's when a man feels loved, not just satisfied. That's when he starts seeing sex not just as a moment, but as a bond. He starts associating you with comfort, with peace, with joy. And that right there, that's how you become unforgettable. You don't need a fancy outfit, some new routine, or a bedroom full of candles to have great sex with a man. What you need is truth, honesty, confidence, a willingness to be vulnerable and present. And when you bring that, you tap into something much deeper than lust. You tap into his soul. You hit the part of him that doesn't just want a physical release, but an emotional one too. You hit the part of him that wants to feel like he's not just any man. You make him feel like your man. That's what changes everything. A man remembers how you made him feel. He remembers if he felt like he had to impress you or if he could just be himself. He remembers if you were stiff and silent or if you let yourself feel pleasure and give it too. He remembers the passion, the connection, the look in your eyes when you were lost in him. That's what he thinks about. That's what stays with him. That's what he can't replace. So if you're asking what makes sex great for a man, here it is. It's feeling desired, respected, safe, and connected. It's knowing that the woman he's with isn't just there in body, but in mind and heart. It's knowing she brought her whole self into that room and she gave something that couldn't be copied, couldn't be faked, couldn't be replaced. That's great sex for a man, and once he's had it, trust me, he'll never forget it. When it comes to understanding what great sex is for a man, most people focus on the physical aspect. They talk about positions, duration, or performance. But a man with experience, a man who's emotionally mature, he knows that's not what truly matters. Great sex isn't just something you do, it's something you feel. It's something that hits a man deeper than just physical pleasure. It touches his confidence, his emotions, his pride, and even his spirit. It stays in his memory not because of what happened, but because of how it made him feel. For a man, great sex starts with feeling wanted, not just being allowed into your space, but truly feeling chosen, that you wanted him. Not just his touch or his body, but his energy, his presence. When a woman looks at a man like he's the only one who can make her feel that way, it ignites something powerful in him. He doesn't want to feel like you're doing him a favor. He wants to feel like you couldn't wait to be with him, like you saw something in him that lit your fire. That's when it becomes more than just a physical exchange. It becomes a validation of his worth. A lot of women don't realize how much their energy matters in the moment. It's not just about letting him lead or letting him have his way. It's about participating fully, emotionally, physically, mentally. When a woman shows up fully present, not holding back, not distracted, not thinking about a million other things, that's when it becomes unforgettable. A man feels it when you're really there. He notices the way you breathe, the way you respond, the way you reach back, that passion, that engagement, that vulnerability. That's what drives him wild, because in that moment, he doesn't feel like he's just having sex. He feels like he's being let in. Confidence is something every man finds attractive, but in the bedroom, it's magnetic. A woman who knows her value, who isn't afraid to express her desire, who doesn't shy away from her own pleasure, that is deeply attractive to a man. It makes him feel like he's with someone who knows herself, someone who enjoys life, someone who brings heat, not just receives it. That confidence makes everything more electric. It turns the act into an experience. And believe this, when a woman is into herself, when she's not embarrassed, not apologizing, not asking for permission to feel sexy, that's when she becomes unforgettable. Trust is another part people skip over, but it's crucial. A man opens up when he feels safe. He gives more when he's not worried about being judged or compared or mocked. If he feels like you're watching him with criticism instead of admiration, he won't give his full self. But when he knows you admire him, when he feels like you're enjoying him with all your energy, that's when you see the best of him. That's when he gives you the part of himself that isn't available to just anyone. That's when it becomes deeper than sex. It becomes connection. And connection is what a man truly craves. Great sex for a man also begins long before you get into bed. It begins with how you treat him. how you speak to him, the little looks you give, the way you touch him in passing, the way you respond to his presence. That foreplay builds his anticipation. It makes him feel special. A man wants to be respected and admired. When you make him feel like a king in your presence, he brings that energy back to you. And when you bring that into the bedroom, it feels like the whole world disappears. It's just the two of you, locked in a moment that neither one of you wants to end. And don't underestimate what happens after the act, when you talk, when you laugh, when you hold each other. Those are the moments that stay. That's when he's paying attention to how you make him feel, not just physically, but emotionally. A man doesn't want to feel like a service provider. He wants to feel appreciated, acknowledged, and wanted, even after it's over. That's what turns a good night into a lasting memory. When a man talks about great sex, he's not just thinking about how it felt physically. He's thinking about the atmosphere, the tone, the feeling of being understood and appreciated. He's remembering the way she touched him with care, the way she looked into his eyes, the way she made him feel like he was the only one in her world. That emotional intensity, that depth of connection, that intimacy, that's what sets great sex apart from just another moment. And it doesn't come from a technique or a trick. It comes from being real, being open, and showing up with your whole self. The woman who gives great sex is the one who brings more than just her body. She brings her soul. She brings intention, playfulness, warmth, curiosity. She brings attention to detail, to his needs, to her own pleasure. She doesn't treat it like a performance. She treats it like a celebration. That's what a man remembers. That's what he values. That's what makes him stay. Because once a man experiences great sex in that way, where he feels connected, wanted, safe, and celebrated, he'll always come back for more. When a man thinks about great sex, he's not just thinking about the physical part. That might be what starts the thought, sure. But what stays with him isn't just what happened with your body. It's what happened with your energy, your attitude, your connection. Most people don't get that. They think it's about being wild or trying new things. And while variety can be exciting, that's not what makes it great. Great sex is when a man feels something deeper. It's when it goes past the surface and touches something emotional, something personal, something unforgettable. You see, a man wants to feel like he's the only one in the world at that moment, that he's the only one you see, the only one you want, the only one who has access to the version of you you're giving him. That kind of exclusivity, that intensity of desire, it makes him feel like a king. When you make a man feel like he's special in that way, he doesn't just enjoy the moment, he memorizes it. He replays it. He holds on to it. Because it validated something in him. It confirmed that he mattered, that he was wanted, that he was enough. It's not about perfection. It's not about a magazine body or a Hollywood-style scene. It's about truth. A woman who can show up as herself, who's not pretending, not trying to be someone else, not performing. She brings something a man doesn't even know he's craving. That authenticity is powerful when you laugh during it, when you talk, when you guide him or respond to him with real emotion. That's what reaches him. That's what pulls him into the experience so deeply that the physical part becomes secondary. You could do something simple, but if it's done with presence, with love, with openness, it becomes the best thing he's ever had. The energy you bring is everything. If you walk into that space like you're unsure or ashamed or detached, he's going to feel that. He may not say it, but he'll know. But when you bring boldness, comfort with yourself, and real passion, it lights him up. When he sees that you enjoy it, not just him, but the whole experience, it makes him want to give more. He wants to impress you, please you, see you light up. That back and forth energy exchange becomes addictive. That's when sex turns into something more than just physical. It becomes a rhythm, a vibe, an unspoken language between two people who get each other. A man doesn't want to feel judged in those moments. He wants to feel safe too. As much as people act like men are all confidence and ego, the truth is most men have insecurities too. They wonder if they're doing it right, if you're enjoying it, if you're comparing them to someone else. But when you reassure him, not with words, but with your response, your breathing, your movement, your eye contact, that's what melts the fear away. That's when he relaxes. That's when he gives you everything. That's when the barriers drop and the intimacy deepens into something real. And it doesn't begin in the bedroom. That part gets missed all the time. Great sex for a man begins way before you touch each other. It begins with respect, the way you talk to him, the way you look at him, the way you build him up throughout the day, a simple compliment, a flirty message, a lingering touch. All of that builds tension, builds connection. It makes him feel wanted, powerful, masculine. And when a man feels like that, he steps into the bedroom with intention. He's not just there to take, he's there to give, to impress, to connect. That's when the chemistry explodes. And it continues after. That's another secret. The after part matters just as much. When you don't rush to get up, when you lay with him, touch his face, talk to him, make him feel seen even after the climax, that's the glue. That's what makes him associate you with peace, with warmth, with satisfaction. It tells him this wasn't just a quick experience. It was an encounter, a whole connection. He remembers that. It's not about clinging. It's about emotional presence. That's what makes it great. And don't underestimate your own pleasure. When a man sees a woman enjoying herself, really lost in the moment, really embracing every part of the experience, it does something to him. It makes him feel proud. It makes him feel connected. When you don't hold back, when you don't fake, when you let yourself truly feel and express everything, that vulnerability becomes strength. That authenticity becomes beauty. That's what makes a man feel like he's a part of something real. He wants to keep giving. He wants to come back because you didn't just let him in, you invited him. And that makes all the difference. A man might not say all of this out loud, but trust me, he feels it. He knows when it's just physical and when it's emotional. He knows when you're doing it out of obligation and when you're fully there. He knows when he's just a body to you and when he's the man to you. And once he's felt that difference, once he's tasted that level of intimacy, it raises the bar. It changes what he looks for, what he craves, what he values. Because great sex isn't just about what he did, it's about what you gave him emotionally without ever needing to speak a word. Great sex for a man is more than just physical pleasure. It's an emotional and psychological experience. It's about feeling respected, wanted, and deeply connected. While people often reduce sex to a performance or checklist of moves, the truth is, for a grown man who's lived a little, great sex is about something deeper. It's about feeling seen, valued, and understood. That's what stays with him. That's what separates something temporary from something unforgettable. A man wants to feel chosen, not just included. He wants to believe that the moment you're sharing with him is intentional, that he's the only one who could be in that space with you at that time. That sense of exclusivity, of being wanted for more than just his body, is powerful. It makes him feel significant. He doesn't want to feel like he's just filling time. He wants to feel like he's the reason the room is charged with energy. When he senses that, everything changes. His effort, his presence, his attention, they all elevate because he's no longer just showing up. He's invested. Great sex doesn't come from pretending to be perfect or putting on a show. It comes from authenticity. When a woman can be herself, open, confident, and unafraid of being vulnerable, it opens the door to something real. He doesn't need a fantasy. He needs reality with fire in it. A woman who's in touch with her sensuality and isn't afraid to express it gives a man permission to let his guard down too. He's not looking for control, he's looking for connection. When you bring your truth to the moment, your desire, your curiosity, and your real reactions, it creates a space where he can do the same. That's where intimacy lives. There's also something undeniable about the way a woman carries herself in that moment. A woman who knows her worth, who is unapologetically present, who moves with confidence and isn't focused on flaws or imperfections. That energy is magnetic. A man feels that. She doesn't have to be loud or wild. She just has to be there, fully, emotionally, physically, spiritually. That kind of woman makes a man want to meet her where she is. He rises to her energy. It's not about being someone else. It's about being the fullest version of yourself. That's what lights him up. Foreplay in a man's mind doesn't just begin when the lights go down. It starts with how you look at him, how you speak to him, how you make him feel like a man. Men thrive off of admiration. They want to feel like you respect them, like you're attracted to them, not just physically, but emotionally. A flirty glance, a small touch, a compliment, it all adds up. It's not always about seduction. Sometimes it's just about letting him know, I see you. When a man feels seen in that way, he shows up in the bedroom completely different. He becomes more generous, more passionate, more focused. Because now he's not just there to please himself. He's there to please you in a way that makes you want him even more. And that pleasure goes both ways. A man wants to feel like you're enjoying yourself, not just going through the motions. When you respond to him, when you guide him, when you lose yourself in the moment, that's what gives him confidence. That's what makes him feel like he's doing something right. A woman who owns her pleasure, who isn't ashamed of her needs, who expresses herself without fear, that's a woman a man never forgets. That honesty, that sensuality, that freedom, it creates an emotional bond that lasts long after the moment is over. Aftercare is another part people forget, but it's powerful. What happens after the climax can sometimes be even more intimate than what came before. The way you stay close, the way you speak to him, the way you laugh, touch, and look into his eyes, those little things make a big impact. They say this wasn't just physical, this was emotional. A man remembers that. He attaches meaning to those quiet moments because they tell him who you really are and how you really feel. And that matters more to him than you might think. A man might not talk about it often, but he notices everything. He notices if you were distracted, if you were present, if you were just giving out a duty or giving out a desire. He notices how you touch him, how you kiss him, how you look at him in the middle of it all. He wants to feel powerful and soft at the same time. He wants to know he can be both your protector and your partner, both strong and vulnerable. And when a woman allows for that, when she makes space for him to be both, that's when he gives her every part of himself. Ultimately, great sex for a man isn't about ego. It's about feeling something real. It's about trust, openness, passion, and mutual respect. It's about energy flowing freely between two people who are fully present with one another. That's what sticks in his mind. That's what he measures everything else against, because once a man has experienced a woman who gives herself fully, emotionally, and physically, with no fear, no games, and no hesitation, he'll chase that experience every time. He won't forget it, and he won't let it go easily.